All right, guys, welcome back to the Gus and Dave Sports Podcast. I'm Dave. That's Gus. This is episode 10. We apologize. We missed last week, We had some personal things to take care of. Gus, you're looking a little tan, man. How was Florida? You had a good time?
I am. It was a very good time. I enjoyed myself. Me and a few of my buddies caught up. Yeah, it was a great time. Enjoyed the sun for the first time in like 6 months.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
there
it
we
was a
go.
pleasure to see it. I forgot it was there. Forgot the sun was there for a second, being up here in New York for so long, but it was a great time.
Yeah, perfect. But we're going to dive right into this episode. We have a few things to touch on. NBA, NCAA is in full swing. I mean, we're coming up on the Final Four happening this weekend with the final on Monday. NBA, good dude, bad dude. Some little bit of chit chat about some other sports. Not much going on in the NFL. We both kind of decided that free agency is really slowing down. The off season's slowing down, but we do have the draft approaching. As more things lead up to that, we'll keep you guys posted, keep you guys what we know, let you guys know that. But no, let's jump right into this. Let's jump right into episode 10. Come on now.
So we are finally approaching April and the end of March. This is when a lot of the sports kind of start to heat up, in my opinion. Obviously the NCAA is coming to a close this weekend. The NBA only has about a week and a half left in their regular season schedule until they go to the playoffs as well. Hockey, we could also touch on that a little bit. If you guys are interested, please let us know if you'd like to get us to get into hockey as well. Golf, even as well. The Masters is right around the corner, and the championship series start to come up after that as well. But we're gonna hop right into our NBA little segment right now before we hop into the college part of this hoops news. Just to touch on the NBA a little bit because, like I said, there only is a week and a half left. Some major things that have come out in the past week or so is this MVP poll. I know that about a week or two ago. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was, the heavy favorite to win MVP. Oklahoma City Thunder had a very large lead over the Spurs, the second seed in the Western Conference, and it looked like he was going to run away with it. But as the Spurs are heating up, as the season closes, and of course the Spurs' best player, Victor Wembanyama, starts to even produce at a higher level than he has, compared to throughout the rest of the season, these MVP odds are starting to almost even out a little bit. So the current odds right now, Shea is minus 350 to win MVP, and Wemby is plus 250 to win MVP. So those are the top two. I know Luka is probably like plus 150 or no, plus 1500 or something like that. And then Jokic and Jaylen Brown are plus around 2000 or something like that. But yeah, this is something to keep an eye on. I know I was checking out the standings earlier, and Spurs only 2.5 games back of the one seed and retaining that one seed. If they can do that heading into the playoffs, then I can totally see a switch in the MVP odds leaning Victor Wembanyama's way. I thought that, the Spurs had, a larger gap between them and the Thunder, throughout the season. But, as the season started to come to an end or is coming to an end, they've shortened that gap up. And that's because of Victor Wembanyama's play. I know he dropped 41 the other night very casually. And he's been having those games where, he's dropping, 30 plus, 12 rebounds, 5, 6, 7 assists, and then, three or four blocks, which is absolutely ridiculous. So that's something to keep an eye out on. And like I said, the standings wise, uh, the rest of the Western Conference basically will probably stay the same, maybe a change up in the 5 or 6 seed. Um, but yeah, the one and the 2 seed are in a very close race. And then the Lakers are the 3 seed, they're about 10 games back. That's, I think, where they're going to stay. They'll probably play the 6 seed in the first round of the playoffs. They've been on a heater as well. I just saw before as well that the top 3 seeds in the West are both 9-1 in their last 10 games, which is very impressive, especially this late in the season. I know Luka has also been heating up. Every game he's dropping 30 plus and, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and they're winning games. So that's a big part, but a little too late for Luka, even though he's putting up astronomical numbers all season long. The team itself plays a big majority role in the MVP conversation. So it's really just not, like I said, dialed down to Shea and Wemby. being the finalist for MVP. And it's going to be exciting to see this last week and a half of who will eventually get it at the end.
Yeah, for sure. I know we were talking earlier about how our not our preseason, our mid-season awards. We thought who deserved them, and I picked Luca. I thought I really wanted him to pull it out. He was playing the right amount of games to reach that eligibility. And then I was looking at his last week. Actually, I mean, this guy dropped going back to March 10th. I'm just gonna say he dropped 31, 51, 36, 40, 60, 33, 32, 43, 41. And then last night he just dropped 42. So I mean, this guy he came back. He's giving it his all, but like you said, I mean, they do take in consideration how the team does. But I mean, he a little too late. Whatever that saying is. But I wish he could pull it through. That was my guy.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, the Eastern Conference wise, the Pistons, I believe, basically have the first seed on wraps. They're 4.5 games above the Celtics, unless the Pistons drop their last 5 or 6 games and the Celtics can win their last 5 or 6 games. I don't see how the standings in the Eastern Conference would change that much, regarding the 1 and 2 seeds. Um, Throughout the rest of the Eastern Conference standings, I really don't know if it matters too much. I know the play-in teams are basically all around the same, skill level wise. So they'll be playing obviously the number 1 and the number 2 seeds, the Celtics and the Pistons. So I mean, whoever the Celtics and Pistons get in the first round, I wouldn't be surprised if they got them in 4 or got them in 5 just because how dominant both teams have been, especially if the Pistons get Cade Cunningham back in time for the playoffs. And I wouldn't be surprised if they just sat him the rest of the season, even if he comes back is healthy with 2 or 3 games left. They need him for the playoffs because like he's been one of the best players in the league this year as well. So I mean, in the Eastern Conference, that's going to stay the same, but the Western Conference, I would definitely keep my eye on because of the MVP race, because of the number 1 seed change that could possibly happen. And yeah, we only have a week and a half left. I want to say it's 2 weeks away till the playing games, start to happen, and then after that, we hop right into the playoffs, which I am very stoked for. Like I said, it's one of my favorite times of the year. End of March, beginning of April, and then into the summer when we start to pick up baseball and stuff like that. So very exciting. Very a lot of sports news coming out of the sports world. Uh, that's going to be coming up here soon. So I'm very excited for it.
For sure. This time, like you said, is the time for all these sports heads to really lock in and watch it. I mean, we're having nice weather. Everybody's going to want to go out to a bar, watch these games outside, just with your buddies. I mean, we have the World Cup this summer too, so
Yeah,
I feel we have endless action from now until at least the start of NFL. So this is
definitely.
a good year. 2026 is going to be a good year for sports. It already has been.
Definitely. But let's move on to the NCAA and what has happened the last 2 weeks that we've been absent from the podcast. So some bigger news out of I don't remember what region it is, but Iowa, number 9 seed, taking down number 1 seeded Florida, taking down number 4 seeded Nebraska. Unfortunately, they couldn't pull off the win against Illinois, the number 3 seed in their bracket or region. But what a run! What a run for Iowa. I know that the Iowa-Nebraska rivalry runs deep. The two states being right next to each other, not having a whole lot more than corn and basketball and maybe some football mixed in there as well. So the rivalry runs deep, and Iowa pulled it off in the end. So it was a great run for them, but like I said, unfortunately, they ran into a hot Illinois team with Stojakovic leading them to the Final Four. And they play UConn, I believe, on Friday or Saturday to play in the national championship. But also regarding UConn, this game against Duke, absolutely insane at cinema to say the least. I believe UConn was down more than 15 points going to halftime, and I thought it was it was wraps from there. The way this Duke team has been playing all year, the firepower that they have offensively and defensively has just been perfection throughout this entire year basically. And they gave up a 15-point lead. They're up 2, and they just need to hold the basketball for what was it? 7 or 8 seconds, maybe pass it, inbound it, pass it again. They need to foul. UConn needed to foul
Just have
Duke,
to hold on to it.
send them to the line to go up 4 points. and then they need, a Hail Mary and one to win the game. But Duke's sloppy, passing in the backcourt uh, led to a turnover, and then a what looked like a 40-yard or 40-foot three ball to put UConn up by one
Oh,
with, I believe it was zero point 0.3 seconds
yeah.
left on the clock. And I can't get over the Dan Hurley reaction. Him just going crazy. I saw like his coaching instincts tried to kick in when they turned the ball over and they got it, like trying to tell people where to go. But in that instance, like there's like 4 or 5 seconds on the clock, and it just got to a point where he was just like sitting there with his arms crossed, and then all of a sudden he sees the 40-foot bomb come out of nowhere, and then he just starts to go crazy, starts pressing out the ref. I
I
I
think
thought that was hilarious.
they deserved a technical foul for that one.
I
Give
well
send Duke to the line. Could you imagine that?
There was some controversy actually because the Duke, I believe one of the Duke announcers for like the Duke like sports radio show, was broadcasting this game, and he had noticed not what Dan Hurley had did, but some of the players on the bench, I guess, thought the game might have been over after he hit the three, but there was zero point 0.3 seconds left on the clock, and some of the players ran out on the court to like go to start celebrating, and he had pointed that out, saying that that probably would have been a technical if it weren't for how much, fiasco was going on and the refs like trying to control everybody.
Yeah.
But I mean, that is a good point. And I mean, obviously Dan Hurley going head to head with a ref. But I also saw on ESPN, one of the analysis was talking to the ref the day after, the night after the game had happened, and the ref was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like it was might have been just like a blackout moment for everybody in the arena because of how special of a shot that was to send them to the Final Four. But just madness at the end of that game. So, I mean, I cannot wait to see this UConn Illinois game because of all the madness that has been had in March. This is why I love this time of year because this kind of stuff happens almost every year. Um, but yeah, I cannot wait for these games this weekend. We do have some predictions. I know that me and Dave's bracket didn't really pan out the way we wanted it to. I had Houston winning it all. I'm sure, Dave, you had Duke winning it all,
That
correct?
Duke, yeah.
So you had Duke. My team got eliminated, I believe, in the elite or in the Sweet 16 to Illinois, actually. And then Dave's team, like we were just talking about, got eliminated to UConn in the Elite Eight. But we have some picks for the Final Four, just to maybe, clean up our mess of a bracket. But I'll make my picks here first. In the UConn Illinois game, I have Illinois over UConn. I know that Illinois is a 1.5 point favorite, but I feel like UConn is on this high horse where a lot of these people are acting like they already like they're celebrating like they won a national championship, but I would probably celebrate as much as they are too, but I don't know. I just feel like they're on a high horse right now. Illinois obviously is also on a high horse, but they respectively, destroyed Iowa in the Elite Eight game. Um, so I'm going to take Illinois. I feel like they're a lot more humble than UConn is right now. That might just be me, watching Dan Hurley go out and do all this stuff with the ref, talking after the game. Um, but yeah, I'm going to take Illinois in that game. And then I also have Arizona over Michigan. I just think Arizona's been the best team in the country all year long. They're now healthy again. I know they had Koa Pete out for a little while during the regular season. Um, so I'm going to take Arizona over Michigan in this one. And the spread on that game, I believe, is Michigan minus 1.5, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. So I'm going to take Arizona.
I'm just we're just opposite. I'm taking UConn. I think that they are hot. I think they're coming off a high of hitting a game winner against the number one team in Duke, but they can keep that ball rolling. Dan Hurley's a coach to do it. I mean, he has the experience in the tournament. He won in 23. He won in 24. Um, I think they pulled off again. I don't think it's 1.5. They're I mean the bookies are predicting it's going to be a close game. I think UConn can pull it off. They like I said they've done it before. They can do it again. And then Michigan Arizona. I'm taking Michigan. I think that they've been the best team in the tournament personally. I mean I think they've been blowing teams out. They've been playing good basketball and they'll just continue doing that. I know one of the players came out and said that they think they're the best Michigan team of all time, kind of throwing shade at that Fab Five team back in the day. And some of those Jalen Rose, he came out. He said, if you think that, then go win the national championship. So I think the boys are ready. And with that saying, I'm gonna take Michigan to win the national championship over UConn in the final. That I think that's gonna be on Wednesday next week, either Monday or Wednesday. But I'm Michigan all the way.
I think, oh, I actually didn't even make my, final prediction. I think Arizona is going to eventually beat Illinois in the national championship. But the guy on Michigan that did say that is Yaxel Lundenberg, something like that. It's a very unique last name or unique name in overall. But yeah, I did see that, and I did see Jalen Rose come out and say like, yeah, if you think you're the better team, go cut down those ropes
Yeah,
and then we can have that conversation. But that I thought that was a tough comeback from Jalen Rose. That was
yeah,
pretty cool. But this like you said, I mean, I think Michigan and Arizona, I think are the best two teams in the country right now. It just is weird that they're on the same side of the bracket. Not weird, but I thought they were going to meet eventually. But in the national championship, I thought that's where they would meet. But the way the bracket was aligned, they were going to meet in the Final Four regardless. So I think that's the national championship, as a whole. Whoever wins that game is going to go on to the national championship and beat whoever comes out of, UConn or Illinois. And that's just my opinion. I don't think Illinois or UConn has the firepower offensively to compete with Arizona or Michigan by any standard.
definitely.
But I think that's going to wrap it up for our Hoops news. I know it's not too much this week, even though a lot has gone on. Obviously, we'll talk next week about the national championship game and these Final Four games. And next week, we'll have our NBA predictions for the playoffs, most likely, heading into that last week of regular season play. Seeds most likely will be locked up by then, I assume. Like I said, it's only 2.5 game difference between the Thunder and the Spurs. So we'll keep you guys updated on that. But yeah, I believe that's it for Hoops News. Let's hop right into our good dude and bad dude of the week.
All right, it is time for our good dude and our bad dudes of the week. I'm gonna start us off with our good dude, and I'm gonna choose those finer folks over at Bob Does Sports and LeBron James. I mean, Gus, me and you, we love to golf. We're not good at golf, but we like to watch. We like to play it. Bob Does Sports. Three guys, one bad, one all right, one good, and they're linking up with the king himself, the goat, LeBron James, to go play around the golf. They post a YouTube video tomorrow. I just can't wait to watch. I feel like it's two of like my favorite people. I mean, I love watching Bob Does Sports. I love watching LeBron James hoop. Now I get to watch them both at the same time. So I mean, I feel like this is a huge collab. I think Bob Does Sports have been going strong for about like 7 years now. So Gus, 7 years from now, we're gonna have a video with Wembenyama playing if we keep it going for 7 years. But I mean, I love it. I'm excited to watch it. I feel like this collab is gonna. I mean, it might shatter some records on YouTube. I mean, they're gonna get views on this.
I
They're gonna get views.
oh yeah, I totally agree with you. I freaking love Bob Doe Sports. They I feel like we like them so much is because we want to we replicate ourselves after that group of people
Yeah,
because we're a bunch of guys that just like to go out there. Doesn't matter if we're good at golf, if we're bad at golf, like to go out there, hang out with our buddies, and just have a few laughs, have a few beers. And these guys are bringing on the greatest basketball player of all time to play golf. Like what that is absolutely mind-boggling of a story. And if you know Bob Does Sports, and if you know those guys, any of their backstory, Bob has been, within the sports media game for, like Dave said, about 7 years. He started off with a podcast with a few of his buddies as well, and it's only grown from there. I know Barstool has come in and taken some of Bob's guys that he's had on his podcast to bring them a Barstool. One of them is Jersey Jerry, who's hilarious, and he's only been growing since Bob Does Sports. And I mean, I feel like he's a good buddy of mine. I'm just so proud of him. I'm so proud of Bob and what he's built because he's honestly just such a great guy. If you ever
oh,
have
absolutely.
watched Bob and the videos that he puts out there and the people that he has on, everybody loves this guy. He's one of the funniest guys on YouTube, in my opinion. And I mean, I know I tune into them every week. They post every week on YouTube. Um, but yeah, I mean, I feel like we just replicate ourselves after him. We've seen what he's done, and this is like a pinnacle moment for him. Like
Definitely.
LeBron James, the greatest basketball player of all time. You're just out there having a good time playing golf with him. I mean, it doesn't get really better than that
Uh,
whatsoever.
I remember they posted on their Instagram the other day. They went, I guess they were saying like courtside ish to a Lakers game, and LeBron, vintage LeBron tomahawk dunk, and they call a timeout, and
Pointed
LeBron
right
flicks
over to
it.
him.
I mean, that's got to be one of the coolest things ever. Everybody with Bob Does Sports is so cool. I actually met and took a picture with Fat Perez at a live golf tournament last year. And I came over with the Pro V1 and I asked him to sign it. He said, "You sure want me to sign the Pro V1?" I mean, I just got to say, like, this guy, he doesn't. They're not above him, so they don't have a big ego. This guy is the epitome of YouTube golf, and he's questioning me about bringing over a Pro V1 that I found on the ground. That I'm just gonna pocket and get him to sign it. So shout out Fat Press for that. If he's ever listened to this, dude, you're awesome. But
Oh
Bob
yeah.
Does Sports, LeBron, that collab's gonna be insane. I can't wait to watch it. Those are my good guys this week. I'm super proud of them. They've been working hard for this.
Let's go. That's awesome. I totally agree with you on that one. But my good dude of the week this week is kind of it's not a dude whatsoever. It's more of a system that has been put in place in Major League Baseball this year. ABS. If you're not familiar with what ABS is, it is basically a strike zone, a virtual strike zone that they have implemented in the baseball to challenge balls and strikes that umpires have made during the at bat. So if some guy's at the plate and he thinks a strike called is a ball, he taps his head. They go to the screen out in center field. They put up a big, strike zone, and they show where the ball was actually placed. And it's been used a countless number of times already, and we're not even a week, into the season. And I think it's a very good, implement to the game. I think each team gets about 3 challenges a game. And if you don't get the challenge correct, I think that's taken away from you. But I think it's great for the game. Obviously, the human error aspect is a part of the game, but with balls and strikes, I mean, one ball or one strike could, flip the game, in an instant. It could change the entirety of the game. So I think it's a great thing that they've implemented, especially this year. I know they tried it out in spring trainings in the past, and it seemed to have worked out. So I mean, I just think it's a great thing for the game, and I'm excited to see what happens next with it for sure.
For sure. I agree with you. I mean, I don't watch too much baseball, but I think, like you said, it's a pivotal decision by the umpire making these balls and strikes calls, especially in close games or if it's a close call. And I actually remember I was watching YouTube or Instagram, and during spring training game, or the umpire called it a strike. Batter challenged it, and on the hot mic, you heard the umpire say, "Please be a strike," because he knew now his call is going to be shown out to the to the public, and he didn't mean to say that on the hot mic. He kind of laughed about it with the catcher and ended up being a ball, so he was wrong. Poor ump, but no,
Yeah.
ABS. I think it's good for the game. It's showing it's good because human error is still a part of it. Because like you said, they only have 3 calls a game,
Yeah.
so they got to use those wisely. So there's still going to be calls where they can't challenge because they've already used them all. But yeah,
So moving on to my bad dude of the week, is going to be Aaron Glenn, the New York Jets head coach. And I know as a head coach, you have to back everybody in the organization, no matter if you think they're not a very good player, if you think they're a great player, no matter what they do on or off the field, you have to be there to have their back. But Aaron Glenn came out the other day and said how Geno Smith is going to take us to the promised land after they just traded a seventh round pick for him. Geno Smith was statistically one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL last year on a Raiders team that was probably equivalent, if not a little bit better than the New York Jets were last year. Um, I know that, like I said before, you have to have like your players' backs and stuff, but saying that he's going to take it to the promised land, I mean that's a little bit of a stretch. I
yeah,
mean, let's all be real. You can say, oh, he's going to come in and help us win football games, this and that, help our team improve moving forward. No, this guy just said right, went to it. Super Bowl or nothing as the Jets. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's out of pocket. But that's my bad dude of the week. Even though if I was in his shoes, but I just said what I would say if I was in his shoes. But that's probably why I'm here and he's there.
Yeah, that's smart. He's an NFL coach. We're two podcasters looking for real
Yeah,
jobs.
I can't say nothing to him, but I'm gonna criticize him just cause.
That's all right. I'm actually gonna criticize a whole team for my bad dude this week.
Okay.
My last name's Glorioso. I'm Italian, and I'm calling out the Italian national soccer team. Gus, I know you don't like soccer. You just got to bear with me, man. We're in a World Cup year. We're going to talk about it this for the
Go
pod.
for it.
Italy soccer has not qualified for the World Cup 3 World Cups in a row. The last time they played a World Cup was in 2014. 12 years. They have not played a World Cup. They won the Euros, which is the second biggest international tournament in soccer, in 2021. That was the COVID year. They didn't have it in 2020. They had it in 21. But World Cups every 4 years. Each nation you have to qualify. So you go through qualifiers where obviously the big nations, all the ones that we can think of, Portugal, Argentina, Brazil, Spain, France, they still have to qualify, but they have a less of a qualify than Turks and Caicos or whatever those nations that are smaller, where they have to go through a rigorous qualification. These big teams, they just have to win like 4 games, maybe like 5 games, and then they get put in the World Cup. Italy has failed to do that. They've been in the playoff qualification 3 years for 3 World Cups in a row, and they've lost. They lost to Sweden in 2018. They lost to North Macedonia in 2022, and now they lost to Bosnia and Herzegovina. I can't even say the name. That's how bad they are. But I mean, they are a strong nation. They have won the world. They have the second most World Cups, tied the second most. They won in 1934, 1938, 1982, and 2006. They lost in 1994 in the final. That's the famous Robert Baggio, the man who died standing because he missed the penalty to win the game. Each international team is ranked nationally or like within FIFA rankings. Italy's ranked 12th, and they have not been in the World Cup in 12 years. And it just goes to show that something has to change. I mean, you think it's the coaching, you think it's the players. I think they've had like 6 different coaches since 2014, and obviously no coach is figuring it out. The players can't figure it out. There's their goalie, Donnarumma. He is 31 years old, right? He played for Italy's national team when he was 17. He's never been in a World Cup. His
Wow.
next chance, he'll be 35, 36, trying to go to the World Cup. I mean, Italy was a powerhouse. Like I said, they won in 2006. That was the most recent victory. They were in the final 94. Teams expect them to do good. They're Italy. They just can't get it done when moments matter. I was looking on Twitter. I was trying to find like a NBA or NFL comparison, and the one that I found that I think is the best way of doing it is if you imagine since Tim Duncan retired from the Spurs, if the Spurs never made it to the playoffs in 12 straight years. I mean, like, yeah, they look good. They're a good team on paper. They should make it. They should at least make the playoffs, but they don't do it.
Yeah.
And then winning the Euros is like winning the in season tournament in one of those years, but still not making the playoffs. I
Wow.
mean, it's just like it's crazy to think that Italy is such a big nation. They have all the stars. Their roster is better than uh, how many countries in the world? 2006 or 206, 200 something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Their
206.
roster is better than 190 of those guaranteed from top to bottom, and they
Yeah.
still can't win. They can't qualify for the World Cup. It's a shame. It really is a shame to see how the downfall of Italy and the documentary made on this team. I think they're going to win it in 2030. I'm gonna be confident in my nationality, my culture. They're going to win in 2030. But that documentary after they win is going to be crazy to see. Went up, went down, back up. Shame
Went
for
up
us.
again. Yeah, that is an interesting
That's my bad
story.
guy.
I'm not too hip with the with all the soccer nonsense that you look at, but uh obviously Italy has had legends in the past. Um I can't name you any off the top of my head, but I know
No,
I know
you're right.
I've
You're
played some
100% right.
FIFAs in the past, and I know that Italy's had some of those legends in FIFA, but yeah, that is a pretty crazy story.
You're 100% right. It's the downfall. It's sad to
The
see a top
downfall,
nation go
as
out
you're
like this.
saying. But I believe that's going to wrap it up for this week's episode. I know there wasn't much touched on, but like I said before, we're going into the span of a few weeks where sports are going to be at the peak throughout this entire year. So we'll touch on the end of the March Madness brackets, NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, if you guys are interested in that. We'll also touch on golf when that starts to heat up as well. I know the Masters, like I said before, is a few weeks away as well, and then we'll start to head into the championship series. Um, but yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this week's episode. Thank you guys for watching once again, and we shall see you guys next week.